How would you evaluate the Niners through their first 8 games? I mean, as far as they're 4-4 record wise, 3-2 at Levi's, 1-2 on the road. Second place in the division, though, is Arizona, Niners, and Seattle all tied at 4-4, but those teams have an advantage, or at least Arizona does. San Francisco does lead the NFC West in point differential. They're at plus 28. Seattle's at -5. LA's at -30. Arizona's at -27. They're 10th inside the NFC in the present. What kind of letter grade would you give the 49ers for the first 8 games?
It could be worse, right? They could have lost to Dallas. They're 4-4. They're not in first place in their division, but no one has a better record than them in their division. It's just that this was supposed to be the weaker part of their schedule. And yeah, they didn't have Christian McCaffrey, but Kittle's going crazy, and Brock Purdy's been there for every snap, and he's having a good year. To me, this feels like a C. 4-4. I mean, you're not exactly exceeding expectations, but you haven't sunk the season yet either. It feels like a C.
Yeah, that's what I said too. I threw it out to Kev earlier. He was like, and he was like, maybe a B-, C+, but I think it's a C. I think they're a C. When you have this kind of talent, you should be better than 4-4 going into the bye week. I mean, come on, they shouldn't have lost to the Rams. They shouldn't have lost to the Cardinals. You lose to Kansas City. There's no crime in that. You lose
to Minnesota. Fair enough.
Yeah, Minnesota, you know what? You chalk it up. But you should have beaten the Cardinals, and and that game was awful. And you should have beaten the Rams, and you just didn't. So I guess the other takeaway I'd learned from this game is, there were no major special teams gaffes, and it's pretty clear that Shanahan wants no part of firing Brendan Schneider. He's not going to fire him. He basically said it today. He's not going to fire Brendan Schneider. And I'm not sitting here rooting for anybody to lose their job. I think that's somewhat distasteful. But there have been major F-ups on special teams every single week. And I thought this was the coup de grace right here, man. The Niners against the #1 special teams Cowboys. But you know what? Turpin did not go off. The coverage units fired. The kicker didn't miss any kicks. And the Niners, for the most part, were pretty good on special teams. So Schneider, good for Schneider. He lives to fight another day. I don't know what that means going forward, but I think that was another takeaway from this game. He's not going to fire Schneider.
It's hard to find a better special teams coach mid-season. Like what guys just hanging around without a job? And I think once you start firing coordinators mid-season, it brings a lot of heat on you as the head coach because everyone knows who's next. There's no one else. You're the next guy on the totem pole. So I don't think Kyle wants to do that. It wouldn't necessarily make things better, and it would just put the target on his back.
Well, I mean, yeah, exactly. And here's the thing. You start firing special teams coordinators, all of a sudden people start going, well, wait a second. This is multiple games in the first half that we're going into the locker room with 6 freaking points. It doesn't take a stretch to start pointing at the offense with all these stars that's underachieving and say, maybe it's you. So I do think it's probably wise of him not to fire the special teams coach, just because I think overall you're just kind of artificially, maybe not even artificially, you're just creating heat and you're dialing up heat on yourself.
That's why I see it.
And the rest of the coaches on your staff.
Also, it's like, I'm addressing this. I'm taking a stand. I'm not standing for this. But did you make it better? You know what I mean? Like they did the same thing with the defensive coordinator after the season. Like they felt that Steve Wilks fell short of expectations, and they made what I kind of felt was an emotional decision. We're firing Steve. Okay, great. Absolutely. I'm sure there are better defensive coordinators out there. Who are you going to get? His assistant. Wow. But what do you mean? Is his assistant really better than him? Maybe. And the jury's still out on Sorensen, but that one felt like, okay, you downgraded though. Maybe you should have just kept Wilks.
Since we know that they offered the job to Belichick and Spags. Right. So it's like you ran off the defensive coordinator, you aimed for the moon, you didn't get it, and then you went with the guy who was sitting 3 stalls down from you. It's just kind of like, what? It doesn't, we're going to circle the globe and we're looking for the very best guy. Oh, he just happened to be here. He happened to be in-house.
Also, to Invader Niner's points, Invader Niner in the chat, he made a good point saying, I mean, if the Niners could just kick the ball into the end zone on the kickoff, they'd have a lot fewer issues. And that's been an issue for them this year. And that's not necessarily Schneider's fault. They're on their third kicker.
Right. Which is amazing how now making field goals almost feels like a secondary job of the kicker. It's like, because you don't want anybody taking one back on you. But I mean, I was shocked at the weakness of Anders Carlson's leg. I mean, it's not like he doesn't kick it through the back of the end zone. He doesn't kick it through the front of the end zone.
Which is weird because he nailed a 50-yard field goal. It's like, what's going on?
Right. Yeah. Come on. Where's that leg strength? I mean, his one of his landed on like the 15, and one of them was right. This was the other one that killed me. They kicked it off right to Turpin. He's in the middle of the field, and they kicked it right to him on the last one, I believe. And they covered it. They, I forget who it was, Patrick Taylor or somebody made the tackle, but it wasn't like they didn't cover the kick. They did cover the kick, but dude, if he's standing in the middle, kick it to the left or to the right, make him move. Don't kick it right to him.
The Cowboys had some special teams blunders in this game. Actually, they had the illegal forward pass that was stupid, and then they had the kick that didn't go far enough. Like, what? I'm sorry, that was incredible.